I'm gonna give you two straight. I am not a fan of League of Legends, the game. Like, not at all. I just can't with isometric click-to-move games, but I am a huge fan of Arcane. This show immediately caught my attention because of how stunning it looked. The animation style alone was enough to make me want to watch it, but oh my lord, I was not prepared for how much of an impact this show would have on me. Not only was it freaking gorgeous, but the writing was amazing too, and it's everything from dialogue to character arcs to the overall plot. What makes up this show is its wide array of characters, and what really drew me in was how I got so emotionally invested in this girl. This scene just broke me. Probably one of the most heartbreaking scenes that I've seen in animation. Powder comes out, she's super psyched about the fact that her bomb worked, and then all of that just seeps away when she realizes what has happened. And when she frantically tried to blurt out an explanation for why she did it in between all of her sobs, I was like, no, tell her it's okay, just hug her and tell her it's gonna be okay, please. And I must admit, I think Vi is an amazing character, but man, I always resented her a little bit for doing this to Powder. Don't get me wrong, like, for narrative reasons, I love that it happens because it makes the story, but Vander literally just said, "Take care of Powder," with his dying words, and the first thing she does is punch her? So the next time you find yourself sitting there going, "Woo, go Vi," just remember that this woman sucker punched her little sister and caused her psychological trauma for the rest of her life. Okay, I know it's not that simple. Vi is acting out of sheer pain here. She just lost everything except for her sister, so she takes it out on her. She's a young and irrational teen, what can you really expect? She's living a tough life as an orphan, trying to be a parental figure for her sister, while basically still being a kid herself. And being so young and inexperienced leads her to make quite a few bad calls here and there in this first arc of the show. Especially in relation to Powder. She tells her that she's ready to join in on a job, but she's clearly not.
Powder, look at me! What did I tell you?
That I'm ready.
She almost falls off the roof, she breaks off from the group twice, and when push comes to shove, she's too small to hold her own. But the worst thing Vi did was leave Powder all alone while going on a life-threatening mission. I know that Vi is trying to protect Powder with this decision, but what if they all got themselves killed? Powder would have been completely alone from that point on, and being left in the dark like that is just horrible. Vi and Powder's relationship is central to these first 3 episodes. From the very first scene in which they appear, we get emotionally attached. And to see it all shattered in such a tragic and irreversible way was so devastating. I think it hits so hard because I just don't feel like Powder deserves to be held accountable for what happened. She doesn't deserve the path she ends up walking. And throughout the story, we constantly hope that she can somehow become able to bring back the part of her that is Powder. Ultimately, this scene is the catalyst that set Powder on a path of madness and pain, while Vi is battling with guilt and with redeeming herself in her sister's eyes. Her sole purpose revolves around reuniting herself with Powder, at least until love is thrown into the mix. It's gonna be very interesting to see how Vi's arc develops in Season 2. From teasers and trailers, we've learned that she's gonna hit a low point as a pit fighter in Zaun, fighting for money day in and day out, and she seems to be troubled by memories surrounding Kate, which means that they must have had a falling out. I'm imagining that after the council was blown up, Kate is set on a path of vengeance which Vi can't side with because that means either killing or incarcerating Jinx. This causes a split between the two. Kate goes on to make plans to capture Jinx while Vi starts fighting for money. And at some point the two are reunited and Vi joins Kate's team. But what is Vi's own goals gonna be now that her sister is too far gone? How's she gonna react to her sister becoming an icon? I have a pretty strong feeling that Vi is going to be the emotional center of this next part of the story. Throughout the first season, I found myself siding with the Zaunites mostly. And it's probably because they're the characters that I feel like trigger the most feelings in me. I think Jinx, Vi, Ekko, and Vander are generally the heart of the show. All of them are characters who drive the story via their emotions and relationships. Whereas in Piltover, I feel more like the emotional side of the characters have been kind of downplayed a little bit in favor of portraying the macro themes such as the evolution and science of Hextech and the Hex Core, and all the stuff surrounding Noxus. Jace and Victor are clearly the focus of the storytelling in Piltover, and they do bring emotional value to the show. But what I'm trying to say is that Piltover characters in general just feel more resourceful and pragmatic overall. More composed and in control, whereas the Zaunites feel more raw and impulsive. And I'm just drawn to that grittier side. They're just easier for me to empathize with because they are the downtrodden. They're poor and they're being treated unfairly by the upper class of Piltover. They're the underdogs, if you will. And it's a rare thing for me to not be siding with the underdogs. But at the end of the day, when it comes to Zaunites, I'm mostly just a Jinx fan. I love her so much. Look, I know she's a loony and that she basically kills a bunch of people, but she's my favorite character by far. I know that I'm fanboying mega hard right now, but she made the series for me. From the moment she popped out of the smoke to say hi, I was hooked on the character. And it's everything about her, from her color designs to her voice acting.
10 out of 10 tits.
The costume, the gadgets, her freaking song. And most importantly, her deep trauma and story.
Because you're a Jinx!
The main reason why I was glued to the screen was because I knew that this was Powder. Like, I never had any associations with Jinx from League of Legends prior to watching this show, so I knew her as Powder first. And the way that Jinx's madness was portrayed with all the flickering etchings of Vi, Milo, Clagger, and Vander was just mwah, chef's kiss. And it's because of moments like those that I find myself on the edge of my seat whenever she's on screen. It's the unpredictability of it all. She feels like a snake ready to lash out at any given moment. And I'm hoping that that feeling is going to carry over into this next season where Piltover and Zaun has become her playground. What's interesting though is thinking about what she's going to do now. She's potentially going to find herself in a leader position, and how she's going to deal with that is beyond me because she doesn't quite strike me as leadership material. Physically, she's quite strong and capable, especially after the Shimmer, but mentally she's incredibly fragile. Her past has haunted her every waking moment for so long, and I am very interested to see if this is still the case in Season 2, or if she's now embraced the insanity of Jinx to the point where the hallucinations have subsided. And if that's the case, I'm curious to find out if I'll be empathizing with her as much as I did in Season 1. Because if she's just Jinx the villain now, and that the hope or notion that she could become Powder again is cast aside, I have no clue how to feel about that. Obviously, I know that she's never gonna become Powder again because that's her arc, the descent into madness. But there's a difference between knowing that it won't happen and watching it with a feeling that it might, you know? And when it comes to people making a symbol out of her, I wonder if she's gonna be embracing that at all. Like, is there gonna be a type of newfound family here? Or is it gonna be more akin to what her original bio states, where she's still a lone vigilante whose actions just inspire these other people? So what is her goal really? Is it really just causing mayhem, or is she gonna try to realize Silco's long-held ambitions? In any case, I think it's safe to assume that she's gonna be fighting against Piltover by means of chaos and violence. And to counter that, we have Ekko and the Firelights. They are so damn cool. Freedom fighters flying around on hoverboards with badass masks and rap gang vibes. What's not to like here? But ultimately, they embody the side of Zaun that we want to see flourish. While Silco won independence for Zaun through gaining economic monopoly on Shimmer and thereby control of the city, Ekko and the Firelights want freedom through resistance against oppression, be it against Silco or against Piltover. The thing about Ekko is that you can tell that there is anger in him. And contrary to Jinx, who seems to be fighting against oppression by means of anarchy, Ekko is more of a revolutionary. He's seeking to fundamentally alter these corrupt power structures of Zaun and Piltover, and his anger has been his motivation to do that. But now that he's hanging out with Heimerdinger, and now that Silco is gone, how is that going to affect his fight against oppression? I'm imagining that Ekko's main role in Season 2 is going to be mostly centered around fighting back against Jinx, and I think that Heimerdinger is going to play a big part in that, potentially by helping him build the Zero Drive, which I won't spoil for those who don't know what it is. But one of the most interesting things to think about is how Heimerdinger is going to help Ekko and the Firelights prosper. It is pretty clear in Season 1 that Heimerdinger was impressed by Ekko's efforts and his tinkering capabilities, so I think he's going to be instrumental in realizing Ekko's vision. And with this season being the conclusion to the story, I must say that out of all the characters, even Jinx, most of all I'm hoping that Ekko succeeds in his endeavors. Alright, that's it for me. Hope you liked the video and subscribe if you want to see more of this type of stuff. And I hope you're as excited about Season 2 as I am. I might make a follow-up video, so let me know down in the comments if you want to see that. Also, Vander's Warwick, no doubt in my soul. Bye!